Hey, ladies and gents, it's Drew, also known as Random Planet, and we are back here with some more talk about my life with MS. I know it has been a long time. Lots of things have happened over this course and period of time that have kind of driven me a little bit nuts, and I'm trying to kind of cope with those things. One, it's getting to the point that we're now about 2 years away from my diagnosis of sclerosis. Things have progressed, as you guys have seen, to the use of the wheelchair, to the use of the crutches, to everything else, to the fact that I'm herbiting so bad my hair is getting ridiculously long. Yeah, all types of things. But at the same time, one thing that I do want to discuss with you guys is what has been happening the last couple of months. The first time in my life, I've had to deal with what is actually depression. Not what I think or what I thought was depression, but actually wanting to not wake up in the morning. Not wanting to die per se, but just not having the will to live some days. And it's led me to the point to be able to talk to my doctors after I went completely AWOL on my doctors for almost 2 months. Like, I went AWOL on everyone. I went AWOL on my doctors, didn't answer their questions, or didn't answer their messages for appointments, anything. And it really was not a good move by me, but I think it's something that I personally needed to do because I needed to cope with disease. I needed to cope with what was going on. I needed to cope with the fact that as a person who has never really experienced true depression, now I am. And I needed to kind of get my head around those things. Well, my head is around those things. I've got my priorities set out. I figured out what I want to do in life to be able to, be there for my daughter and everything else. And two big things happened. So yesterday I went in with my neurologist, had a really good appointment, set things up, figured out what our plan was going forward, and then got some really bummer of news. Now, Dr. Krause at Mayo Clinic, fantastic doctor. She's a resident, and that didn't click to me that she was a resident. Now, anyone who doesn't know what a resident is someone who is still on their last 4 years doctor, like a full-fledged 100% doctor. Mayo was a teaching hospital. So therefore, we had a resident doctor, been there with her for 2 years. She is actually leaving the practice at the end of June, so yesterday was my last appointment with her, which is quite the bummer because she is the person that was actually there during my diagnosis when I was in the hospital for a week. She was the one that literally said, no, I understand what's going on with this disease. I'm canceling your appointments with these other people. We're going to keep on. That way there was a good track record with the one doctor. I do know that there's another resident that's going to be coming in, and it gives me 4 years with a new person to be able to build that up. But at the same time, it kind of sucks because this is the person that was there throughout. She's the person that answered him. It was really nice having that connection, which seems like it's a very big rarity nowadays, especially for adults. Children, maybe not so much. Maybe, this child has a pediatrician, and the brother and the sister have the same pediatrician, so it doesn't really happen that way with it. So that's the first part of. Right now, I probably look like absolute crap, and this is the reason for the video today. I've actually been asked to make something about this, just talking about it. So, today, at 11 a.m., well, a little bit earlier than 11 a.m., I went in for my first COVID-19 vaccine. And when I went in for my first COVID-19 vaccine, two things I want to state. This is the Mayo freaking Clinic. We're in the middle of, like, a larger city area, but it is a very, very well-known hospital. I'm from all around to be able to operate a hospital. When I went in there was no one waiting for a vaccine. They had staff and everything else. there was no one that was coming. So the things that you do see out there about people not wanting to vaccinate, see 49% of this or whatever, 44% of this that doesn't want to vaccinate. This is real. This is real. And here's the thing: if we don't get past that 30% unvaccinated, 70% vaccinated, herd immunity doesn't happen, and everyone's at risk. Because once we get higher into the summer, and it gets hotter out, and people start bunking back indoors with their AC, and then it gets into fall and winter, and people start bunking back indoors because it's cold. That's going to cause spikes. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful. I do know a ton of states, including Minnesota, are starting up incentive programs for people who are for vaccinating themselves. But I will say it's not all fun and dandy. As a person who's very, very much, and people who have watched my channel, they know what I think about this, and they know that I'm very, very much into the vaccination codes. Because especially as someone that is immunocompromised, especially as someone who has young children, it's very important to me. Well, so I went in and got my my COVID-19 vaccine today, as you can see, right there. Hands are still wrapped from the after process there. I got my Wednesday, you know, it's Wednesday, sticker on. And what ended up happening is, now the big plus is MS. Diminished sensation in some areas. She stuck the needle in. All I felt was her, like, pushing against my skin. It didn't feel the needle, didn't feel anything else going in. That part of it was perfectly fine. Might be different for some other people, especially with MS. Maybe the diminished sensation hasn't reached their upper arms or something like that. But this really, she was able to push it right in the muscle, no problem. Little bit of soreness, but not really. Not really. I mean, it's nothing more than, oh, I kind of, you know, used my arm a little bit too much. Not even the Charlie horse thing that I hated. But what ended up happening is they wanted to sit me down for 30 minutes because I have had past issues with anaphylaxis with penicillin. So because I had that past anaphylaxis, they wanted to sit me down for 30 minutes just to be able to monitor me, see if everything's okay. So what ended up happening is about 25 minutes into that 30 minutes, I started noticing, I'm starting to get a headache now. I started getting clammy, I started getting like sweaty, which right now it's cool in here now, because I made sure to be able to cool down the room first, and I still feel overheated. Now, for people with MS, we know that overheating is already a process for us, it's already a problem for us, so therefore it could be partially that. It could also be the fact that I'm running a small feet. I feel like crap right now. But there's more. There is much, much more. Because shortly after that, I looked down at my hands because I saw red blotches. Not the normal blotches from, like, on my hands where you can see, like, the blotching all over my hands here. And that's simply because with the diminished sensation in my hands, they can't differentiate the hot and cold, so they have blood pool to different areas and stuff like that to be able to try to warm them up from the cold and take away for the heat, and they come out really blotchy looking. But what ended up happening is I noticed that my hands were red. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? So I go to bend my fist. And normally, it's gonna be hard to focus in there. Normally, my fists make a pretty regular knuckle. They're still swelling in between these, and especially on this one, you can see there's barely a knuckle there. It's the meat in between the knuckles is swollen. The hand itself was swollen. Comes to find out that I had an allergic reaction to the Pfizer vaccine. We don't know exactly what it was. For the first time in my life, I ended up getting Benadryl. And not the, like, pill form Benadryl that they give you for, like, infusions and stuff like that. This was IV Benadryl. And they threw the IV into my right hand because I do much better with IVs in my hands because I used to donate plasma. I have scar tissue. Right? hurts my nerves. But what ended up happening is they threw the IV in there. They pushed 25 milligrams worth of Benadryl to be able to get it to slow down. And it slowed it. It slowed it. Like, my hands stopped swelling and stuff like that. The itchiness was there, but it started going down. But the one thing I immediately noticed, it must have been 30 seconds after he pushed that into my system. I got so lightheaded, and everything became so heavy. It was incredibly keep my eyes open. And even to this point, like, I'm having a hard time staying awake right now. I just wanted to be able to get this done and recorded before I decided to be able to go ahead and lay down. Even though I do feel like crap, I think, and even other people that I've talked to in like the MS Discord, like that, they think that it is important for people who have multiple sclerosis to be able to know how some things can affect you with the COVID vaccines. Even though it most likely will not be the same, at least it gives you an idea of what you could possibly be looking at. Mine was an extreme circumstance. Did the allergic reaction come from anything with the MS? No. It has nothing to do with the MS. The allergic reaction might have been worse because of the fact that my system is already fighting the MS. There's a possibility there. It's not what it is. But these are things that you could look forward to, the COVID vaccine. I will say they are very, very careful if you have multiple sclerosis and you go in for the COVID vaccine. They do monitor you. They do want to know what's going on, because here's the thing, that they don't know how it reacts to certain. I will say my doctor postponed my Ocrevus because she did not want me to be on Ocrevus with a weakened immune system and then take the vaccine, because it would have been incredibly ineffective to be able to hold on to it. I'm sure I would have gotten a small amount of protection, but it wouldn't have done anything towards what was there for the actual COVID, or if COVID struck. I still would have been at heavy risk. So therefore, what she said is, let's get these vaccines out of the way. Give it a month after you get your final vaccine done, so it gets up to maximum, like, potency for the vaccine, and then we'll get you on Ocrevus. Okay. It's 2 more months without Ocrevus. We've already done it for... This is going to make people, drive people crazy. We've already done it with it without 2 years. Yeah, I've not had any medication. Things happen. Whether it was my mindset, whether it was figuring out insurance and stuff like that, whether it was the pandemic. I was supposed to go in and get my first Ocrevus shot like 6 months after I was diagnosed. Ocrevus infusion. 6 months after I was diagnosed, and the pandemic hit. And everything closed down. And that included an infusion center. So it really threw things back, and then my mindset got in the way, and then insurance got in the way because it, the time ran out on everything, and then it was just a finally get to that point. But I digress. I wanted to talk about what was going on with the vaccine. So what ended up happening is they pushed that. They realized that, okay, he is not going to be able to get around. Kind of crazy. So they take me out of my wheelchair. They put me in a stretcher, and the paramedics transfer me to St. Mary's, which is the larger emergency room. The city is basically a hospital. And I get over there, they end up putting me in a room, and I'm going through just a ton of tests, completely uncomfortable the whole time. Because while they were in the ambulance, they pushed another 25 milligrams worth of Benadryl, but they did it on a slower drip this time. What they did is they added it to a banana bag IV, and then they added it through that line, so it kind of slowed the process of it getting into my system down, even though it still got into my system. Plus it rehydrated me, which good all around, I still felt like crap. I still feel really, really tired right now. I still feel lightheaded. I still feel like everything's super heavy. Funny thing is, that's actually from the Benadryl. It's not from the vaccine. The only thing that I got from the vaccine was swollen hands and itchy hands down to about mid-wrist. Now, they're sore. They're sore. If I try to move my hands like this, they are roughly sore. Touching my knuckles hurts, which is really weird because I have incredibly diminished sensation in my knuckle, or in my hands in general. So it makes me think that something to do with the reaction caused nerve pain. So touching that is just exacerbating the nerve, because that's the only thing I generally feel. That is the ones of. All right, so what ended up happening is we were in there. They ended up giving us. I ended up getting steroids. Go figure. Steroids, the best thing for relapses in MS, and apparently it works for allergic reactions too. So, and then the other one that was really, really weird that threw me off is they gave me a vial of Pepsid. Heartburn medicine? Pepsid AC? And they're like, yeah, actually, it blocks the receptors that cause allergic reactions, or that allow allergic reactions, so they can actually slow down allergic reactions very quickly. I was like, wow, that's weird. Like, you wouldn't think of that. You think Pepsid AC and you think, oh, you know, it's the Tums alternative. Probably a little bit more effective because it's not over the counter, but at the same time, so they ended up doing that. I was a little bit impatient because they told me about 2 hours in that I only had an hour left. And then I waited an additional 2 hours after that hour, and I got there for 5.5 hours before I finally said, guys, I'm in a wheelchair right now. It was great of you guys to be able to bring my electric wheelchair from one location to another. However, I'm not going to have a way to be able to get back home, because obviously I can't hop into a car, I can't hop into an Uber, I can't hop into a cab. I have this electric wheelchair. And it probably wouldn't be wise for me to be trying to drive this electric wheelchair all the way down 2nd Street, which is a good 3 miles. Because 1, I don't have my battery pack with me because I wasn't expecting this. And 2, my mindset is not very steady right now. I'm lightheaded, I'm dizzy. I feel like I'll fall asleep. So we figured things out. They ended up doing that, and we ended up figuring out some busing system to be able to go ahead and get me at least to the downtown area where it was a little trek to be able. Where I am now, I am back home. I am safe and sound. We're going to start trying to do a little bit more of these, especially as I get into the second leg vaccine. The other thing is they're talking about possibly not letting me get the second vaccine. This is where my stubborn side came up heavily. I told them, no chance in hell. They're like, what do you mean? So if there's no chance in hell that I'm not doing the second shot. They're like, but it's... I go, I don't care. I go, here's the thing. It's 96% effective once you get your second shot. It hits full load 14 days after that second shot. I have an almost 14-year-old daughter who might have some of the same medical issues that I have later in the future. I don't want to accidentally catch something and then carry it on to her, causing irreparable damage possibility. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. In the same sense, it might not be as effective in me. And even though I would have to deal with possibly another allergic reaction, it would be monitored, it would be done. I'd be able to deal with it. Allergic reaction, like Benadryl, we can do things like any of the other stuff that can help monitor and deal with allergic reactions. I need to get that immediately. For myself, for my family, friends, for my sanity to be able to be around my friends and because that's what's driving me the most nuts, is the fact that I'm so damn isolated. And I think it's been driving a lot this whole damn time. If you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a sub on the channel, ring that notification bell, and smash that like button. If you guys want to see anything else we talk about, if you have any questions about my journey specifically, or if you guys would like to be able to talk about your journey, down in the comments below, let me know, definitely. I will see you guys again next time. You guys have a fantastic one. And as I said, with the second vaccine, I will do another update. Once we get into Oak Crevice, I will do updates about that. I do not know if they will actually allow me to be able to take my phone in and record where I'm getting the infusions, because there's obviously other patients in there, and then there's a problem of patient confidentiality at that point. I would have to get everyone's permissions and everything else, and it becomes a gigantic. So we'll figure out what's going on later with that, but there will be more content coming with this. I'm going to be getting back to streaming on Twitch. It's going to be something a little bit different than what we've been doing. I'm getting away from the mobile gaming and getting regular gaming. And we will see you guys again next time. And as always, MS Warriors, stay strong. You, your friends, your family, and your loved ones, please stay safe out there during these tough times. We will see you guys again next video. Now, as you can see by my eyes, I'm going to go get some sleep.